Another good helpful tip, once you have this thing completely and fully into backwash, and you've cycled a lot of that dirt and that garbage and the dirtiness from the media out, you want to get a white or a clear bucket, and 5-gallon bucket, and do a flow test on it. Make sure that if it's supposed to backwash at 5 gallons a minute, it's backwashing at 5 gallons a minute, not 3.5. Because these things are set up specifically to allow that media to become fluid inside that tank and get that full amount of lift. If it's not flowing completely with the valve all the way open, you've got a problem and you should probably investigate. Okay, now you've allowed some time to go by. Your water's starting to run clear. Your valve is still just cracked open. One thing you may try is taking a rubber mallet or the side of your fist and just tapping on the side of the tank a little bit. Tap on all different sides of the tank, front, back, side. What that's doing is the media has a tendency to channel the water through there. So maybe you're getting some good flow through one side of the media and not some good flow through the other side. By wrapping on the side of the tank, it kind of jumbles that media up inside there and gets it all to be nice and fluid. And when you wrap on that tank, you'll notice that a lot of the times your water will go extremely dirty extremely quickly. You'll also maybe have an audible sound of the water starting to flow a little better in the tank. You want to go ahead and continue that process until wrapping on the tank does not produce dirty water out the drain line. Once you've got that good clean water out the drain line, you can go ahead and start opening your valve a little faster and a little faster. Now this may take some time. You may be here for a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, depending on the size of the tank and the media that's inside the tank. It may take you some time to get these systems to be fully commissioned, but taking the time up front now means that the media and the system will last a lot longer in the future. You can get 15, 20 years out of this system versus 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. So take your time, set the system up right, get it fully commissioned before you walk away. Okay, we've wrapped on our tank, we've got the valve to the open position, we've done our bucket test on the drain line to ensure that we're getting that full 7 gallons a minute. Now we're going to go ahead and open the valve all the way up. Your system is up and running. We're going to go ahead and plug the power back into the system and allow it to finish its cycle. And what I mean by that is when you plug the system back in, it's going to have the countdown. Go ahead and press and hold the cycle button. That's going to move it to the cycle step 2, which is your rapid rinse cycle. Go ahead and let it completely finish that rapid rinse cycle, whether it's 10, 15 minutes, whatnot. Allow it to get that full rapid rinse through the system before the system comes back online. Let the system naturally finish up the process and naturally go into the service mode. Again, these valves are not fast. They're slow, but they're very quiet. So you want to pay attention to what's going on the screen. You want to pay attention to what's going on around the plumbing. This is a good opportunity to kind of go back through, double check that everything is not leaking, that all the piping is still good in place. You want to double check that your meter cable is installed all the way and that there's enough slack on the cord that you're not going to have an issue with it. Make sure your cover plate is nice and flush and clean on there. Make sure your wires are out of the way. Everything is good and solid and ready to walk away from. It's always a good idea at this point to kind of wash the face of the unit off. Sometimes you get some smudges from that silicone lubricant, dirty hands just because your plumbing is working and whatnot. Okay, the unit is back in service now. It's completely finished with that initial commissioning and the initial backwashing cycle. You've allowed it to run its rapid rinse time. You've checked all your plumbing, you've checked all your fittings, you've checked your meter cable, your cover, you've cleaned everything up, we're ready to go. Last couple of steps that we want to make sure that you do, Adjust the time of day if you didn't do it earlier. Make sure the time of day is correct. If you need to go into the programming settings and change things like time of day that it's going to backwash, if you have multiple filter units in a row, you definitely don't want them backwashing at the same time, so you want to adjust that. If it's a softener and you need to adjust the grains of hardness or a capacity inside of it, now's the time to go in, finish all those things up, make sure that it's completely programmed, make sure that you're going to walk away from this and you should not get another phone call for another year until you come back to service it. Lastly, the unit will come with some paperwork, and we'll discuss more in the class about paperwork, but you want to make sure that it's completely set up and that all the paperwork is filled out for the homeowner. You've taken the serial number down. The serial number is just next to the drain line flow control. You'll be able to take the serial number off of that, transfer it to the paperwork that you have. One last step that I like to make sure you guys do is remove the cover. And there's simply a little thumb screw on the back side of the cover right here, and it pulls off to one side. On the inside of every single one of our units, right in here, is the basic default programming for every system that we have. I would suggest that if you've changed any of the programming, that you go in here and just mark it down what you've changed, so that if anybody comes out to service this unit later, or you come out to service this unit later, you'll know what it was originally set to, and you'll be able to adjust it back to those settings. Cover simply slips back over, thumb screw back in place, and we're ready to go. You've successfully installed and commissioned your system. Thank you for joining us, and have a great day.